Thursday afternoon, one day away from the beginning of the shortened Rhode Island high school football season. Maury Hirsch-Gordon here from 12 Sports. Joined alongside Providence Journal high school beat writer Eric Rube, does all things locally, covers some Patriots and some other things as well. Nobody knows the local landscape better than he does. And Rube, 70 degrees and sunny outside. I think we can all get used to this year, at least for the springtime. How much are you looking forward to a season? There hasn't been any high school football in Rhode Island in almost a year and a half.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to getting back out there and watching the games. It's fun to watch the kids compete, fun to watch the sport. It's just going to be – usually we start the season off and it's a little bit warmer than this, and by the time we're finishing it's about 20 degrees outside. But this is if it's going to stay like this for the next 5-6 weeks, I'm okay with that.
So there's some teams not playing that have opted out. There's already some scheduling changes week one. Just kind of clean all of that stuff up for us before we get and dive into the team previews.
All right, so Woonsocket, they had moved up to Division I. We had the story on them earlier this year. They're out for the season. They haven't had contact with the players, and that was the biggest thing why they opted out. There was no work from the end of last season, from when Corona kind of all started and wiped them out. So they didn't have kids in the weight room. They didn't have kids preparing for the season, so there was concern that they wouldn't be able to get through the year. Them, like everybody else, had low numbers, so that was kind of a tough choice. And Central Falls, it was sort of the same thing. They just had low numbers and just not enough kids to have a safe team. I think that they were looking at maybe 19 kids that were going to be able to play. And anyone who's played football or watched it knows if you've got 19 kids, it's really hard to play because with injuries and anything else. So for safety reasons, they opted out of the season as well. And that kind of leaves us with the teams we got right now.
A few scheduled cancellations, but the Interscholastic League has done a good job keeping their website up to date. As far as this season goes, before we jump into the team previews, how different is this season going to be than even the seasons that we've had in the past, namely, for a basketball or a hockey? If you have a game or two canceled due to a COVID pause, you can easily make that up. Football is definitely not the same case.
Yeah, and that's the problem. And talking to all the coaches for these previews that we've been putting out this week, it's the messages they just want to play this week. And usually it's that cliche for football. We're just focused on this week. But in this case, it's the only thing they can do because, you take a look at Pilgrim, for example. They were supposed to play Westerly. There were some COVID issues with Westerly. Pilgrim can't play this weekend now. They're trying to get a game. But who's to say that their next week's opponent might not have a problem? Or, you don't want to see them have one where they might wipe them out for 2 weeks. The only thing coaches are concerned about right now is getting their kids ready for the next game because that might be the only one they have and the only chance. So they're really, this week-to-week football cliche approach is really what the season's going to be.
And going in, there's no game minimum that a team has to play in order to qualify for the playoffs, right? Yeah,
there's going to be, it's going to probably cause controversy at some point because it did with basketball, but they're going to be weighing games, at least in Division I, and the playoff format's pretty much the same as it's always been. We're going to get the top 4 from Division 4, the top 4 from Division 3. Division 2 will get 2 from each side, which is going to be a little tough. Division 1, there's some PowerPoints and some rankings involved. Win percentage is going to be the key. As long as your team's win percentage is good, you're going to be all right. So that's what people should be paying attention to as the season goes.
All right, so all that's important is for teams to win, continue to win. You'll find yourself in the mix come late April and early May. All right, let's start with Division I. We're going to go through a couple different categories here. Best team, so the favorite coming into the year. Maybe best player or player you're looking to break out, and then a potential sleeper. So with those 3 categories in mind, how do we break down the Division I slate?
Well, that gets a little complex with kind of the format. They have the 2 divisions in Division I. They have the Power 4, which is Hendricken, North Kingstown, LaSalle, and Portsmouth. Those 4 teams are in the playoffs. They're going to be in their own separate playoff playing for the state championship. Division I's got the 2. It's 4 teams in one and 5 teams in the other. They're going to have 4 teams make the playoffs with the Super Bowl champion coming out of D1. The best player in Division I right now, if we're looking at it, that's tough. You don't want to look at the skill guys. You want to look on the defense and on the line. Nick Lombardo at LaSalle is center. He's headed to the Naval Academy. He is an unbelievable center, and I know no one pays attention to who's snapping the ball and who's playing, but he's another quarterback on the field for the Rams. So if you're a football dork, go watch them. Watch them on the stream. Watch the kid play. Hendricken has a defensive end named Brandon Duran. He's a baseball player. Probably would have been All-State if we played baseball last year. He's already committed to Kentucky for baseball. He's also the best athlete in the state. He is a freak. He is huge, strong, and fast. I think he was top 6 in one of the state track meets this year. He's probably the best pass rusher in the state. I know everyone says, well, what about Jason Onye, who's headed to Notre Dame? Onye's coming off a little bit of surgery from the offseason. He didn't play basketball this year. There is a hope he's going to play, but obviously with a lot on that young man's future coming up, it's not going to be something they're going to try to rush. And the rest of the division, there's so much balance in Division I. The favorite in the Power Conference is North Kingstown. I shouldn't say that. It's going to fire Hendricken people up. Hendricken's the favorite. They're always the favorite. Watch North Kingstown, though, because their passing game is still going to be on. I talked to their coach, Fran Dempsey. He said Donovan Carr, who's starting this year, could have started for any team in the state last year. And with Tyler Paz at wide receiver, that's a combination that's going to be fun to watch. They're going to go 5 wide out, try to beat you with a lot of little passes. For the Division I title, and I kind of got this early from talking to some coaches, Central. And no one expects Central to kind of be that D1 team, but they're fast. And not like, high school fast. No, like track speed, track champion type speed. They've got some hogs up front. And if you got some big boys up front who can block and want to play hard, you team that with speed, they hit an edge, it's a touchdown. So, Peter Rios isn't going to want me to say his team's the favorite, but they're the favorite in D1 right now. If you're looking at a dark horse, and Josh Lima, the Cumberland coach, is going to hate this, it's Cumberland. Cumberland's got this group of senior talent, and they've been kind of waiting for the season to prove what they've done. They've made the playoffs in Division I, which is always a goal, but now can they take that next step? They want to get to a semifinal. They want to get to a Super Bowl, and they're going to dirty up some of these games and play kind of tough, gritty football that you need to win. And I would say that they're kind of a dark horse in this division.
The Central Knights, if you're looking for a good game week 1, they have Cranston West, and I know the Falcons have bounced them. I think the last 2 playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. I know the D1 semifinals in 2019. So when we were out there doing a preview this week at Central's practice, they were already talking about revenge week 1. So you can kind of see the excitement on the Central Knights team's faces. All right, how about Division II? No longer East Greenwich. East Greenwich moved up from Division II to Division I. So who is now the new East Greenwich of Division II?
Well, Division II, East Greenwich and Burrillville are both up in 1. By the way, watch out for that Burrillville team because they're going to have a tough one against Hendricken this week, but they are going to play hard football because we saw it with basketball. Those kids, they just care about team, and there's no accolades for them. But anyway, Division II, Barrington is a team to watch. They dropped down from Division I. They're loaded with seniors. Again, seniors matters more in football than any other sport because you're looking at bigger, stronger kids who are just, a little bit age, a little bit experience. That pays off a lot. Their best player, if you're looking for someone, defensive lineman Josh Nutter. The kid has a motor. He's built like a truck. He's going to be a disaster for teams to face. I wrote this. It's in the Providence Journal today. You can find it up at providencejournal.com. I wrote about the Tolman team who moved up from after losing the D3 Super Bowl last year. They've got all the pieces in place to compete and maybe win this division as well. Devin Ward's a junior defensive lineman, and he is a freak. He's the kind of kid, you think of him as Rhode Island's Vince Wilfork. He's a massive kid. He's built like an SUV. He's got his hands, and his hands are so strong in the way he kind of controls the line. You have to commit 2 blockers to him. He's an even better offensive tackle, which is, I think, where they're kind of looking at him for college. And he's paired with this kid people have to watch for, Aaron Carrion, who may be the next kind of big kind of lineman to come out of Rhode Island. I really, really like that Tolman team. Jordan Cooper's a great quarterback, mobile, can throw, and they've got weapons on the outside. Leandro DePina played great in the D3 title game last year. Tolman, they haven't won. They shouldn't be one of those favorites, but they're built for it. If they were in D3 this year, they would have been the favorite. In D2, I kind of got to consider them there.
Division III now, North Smithfield, Mount St. Charles Co-op's always competitive. Tiverton, Classical, Coventry. There's some good flavor of teams there, top D3. How do you like that division shaking out?
And I told Chris McCall at Classical this. He has to win this championship, and he knows he has to win this championship. There's a lot of pressure. When you've got a Division I college running back on your team and a kid who's got Division I Power 5 conferences kind of sniffing at him at wide receiver with Marquise Buchanan, Classical's good. Their skill positions at that division are going to be are tough to match up. You can't double team one or overplay one or the other. His biggest problem, Classical's biggest problem this year is going to be who are they going to give the ball to? because it's, you want to get film for some of these underclassmen or kids who aren't signed yet, and they've got some real good athletes playing at the skills positions. But if it comes down to a grind, they're going to give the ball to Sam Badu, and he is going to be one of those kids who's unstoppable. I wrote earlier this week, if they played a full season, he had a chance to break the state rushing record, which is about 2,874 yards. He had a 3,000-yard season in him, and that's not an embellishment at all. Besides classical, I like Johnston a lot. Tom Zednick's a 6'6" wide receiver. He projects to be a tight end in college. You can't cover size. 6'6" is impossible to stop. He's two guys every time, but they've got some speed and some other skill guys. My favorite player, maybe in the state, their slot receiver, Joey Acciardo. He's this tiny little 5'7", 5'8", 150-pound kid, but he runs routes so crisp, and there isn't a quicker player in Rhode Island. So their offense is going to be fun. Coventry has just meat up front and a senior quarterback who's been waiting. They're going to be a great team to watch. I like classical a lot in that division, but it's going to be a three. It's those kind of three teams, and there's some other teams sneaking up in there. It's, that you talked about that North Smithfield team. They've got some talent. They're a defensive-minded team. They've got an unbelievable linebacking core, and if defense wins championships for a reason. So we'll see how they can do.
So it sounds like the top of Division III is loaded as usual, and then to round out Division IV, always good competition there. Who are the top two teams?
And I'm not saying this because I'm a Foster guy and the school is 5 minutes from my house, but this is Pontigance's division. They should have this division. They've got the size up front. They've got a running back in Marcus Carpenter who might be the fastest back in the state. When you get a kid of his caliber, his strength, and his speed, and you team it with a line playing in a division like this, he's going to crack. He might crack 1,000 yards this year in 5 games, which is absurd to think about. Like, he's another one. It would have been fun if we had a full fall to see Carpenter in D4 and Badu in D3 both trying to go for that 3,000-yard barrier in one season, which is insane to think about. They're going to be strong. Tollgate, keep an eye on. Grayson Pasquina has been a starting quarterback there for 4 years. He's a great athlete, just knows what to do with the ball. That experience helps at the position. Exeter West Greenwich is big. They got a 6'6", like 280-pound defensive end, offensive tackle, Thomas Brankar. I hope I'm saying that right. He's a big boy. And again, with size like that on the line, if they need a tough yard, you just run behind the big kid and let him clear the way for you. Pontigance's is the favorite, but this division always kind of sneaks up on people where all of a sudden somebody plays right at the end of the season. Someone's a little tougher on defense, and that's where this won. I will pick Pontigance, and I'll be on the record all day saying they're going to win, but there's things always happen in a season like this where we don't know if we're going to play games or not. You don't know what's going to happen. So
all the action kicks off Friday night. We'll have the Friday Night Blitz sponsored by Pizone's 1115 WPRI 12. You can catch that live. You can also follow Eric's work on Twitter and on the Providence Journal's website, projo.com. Rube, looking forward to seeing you throughout the state. It's only going to be 5 or 6 weeks, going to be jam-packed, but should be a lot of fun as the weather continues to get warmer and warmer.
Yeah, I'm excited. I just got a text from Middletown. They're playing on Sunday. I'm going to a game Friday, going to a game Saturday. My wife wants to spend time with me on Sunday, but I'm going to be going to a game instead. So it's going to be a great little weekend for me. A nice way to open the weekend.
And then time for golf, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, sometime in there.
Nope, got to do all states.
Oh.
And once the all state teams are all picked, then we move on to the golf season.
All right, sounds good. We'll make sure we get 18 in throughout the season. All right, that's Eric Rube from the Providence Journal. Thanks so much for tuning in to this Rhode Island high school football season preview.